here is section 2.3 to 2.4, part 3. Here we're going to evaluate a function. So it asks us to evaluate the function y equals 2x plus 3 when x equals -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So we've made tables before. We did that in a couple sections ago. This is set up a little bit different just so you can show your work in this space here. But it's the same idea. So it tells us what numbers to use for our inputs or our x's. So we use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing. Remember, these are our x's. So we're going to plug these numbers into our equation for x. So we're going to take out x, and we're going to put in what x equals. So for the first one here, I'm going to take out x, and I'm going to put in -2. And then we're going to solve. 2 times -2 is -4 minus 3. Using the rules we just learned, we're going to add the opposite. So -4 plus -3, those are the same. So we add and keep the sign. So our output value here is -7. Okay? This is, again, the same idea we did before. We take our input here, we put it into our function, and then our answer comes over here in the output. The only difference here is that they're going to add in negatives for you to use. Okay, so be careful with your negative signs to make sure you don't mess that up. So let's do the next one. So -1. So I'm going to say 2 times -1 minus 3. 2 times -1 is -2 minus 3. Using our rules, we're going to add the opposite. Okay, so those are the same signs, so we add and keep the sign. So add and keep the sign. So when I plug in -1, I get out -5. To continue here, we're going to plug in 0 next. So 2 times 0 minus 3. 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 3. Using our rules, we're going to add the opposite. So add the opposite. Those are, again, different signs, so we're going to subtract and keep the same sign. 3 minus 0 is 3. And we keep the sign of the bigger number, which is -3. So when I put in 0, I get out -3. Okay, our next one, we're going to plug in 1. So I'm going to put in 1. So 2 times 1 minus 3. 2 times 1 is 2 minus 3. We're again going to add the opposite. Here now we have different signs. So with different signs, we're going to subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1. We keep the sign of the larger number, which is 3. So my answer is -1. When I plug in 1, I get out -1. And for our last number here, we're going to plug in 2. So we plug in 2 here. Minus 3. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 3. We could add the opposite here if we wanted to, but I'm hoping that you know 2 minus 3 is 1. So we shouldn't need our rules for that because that's just a normal subtraction problem. So when I plug in 2, I get out 1. So remember, we're going to take our input, which is -2. We plug it into our problem where the x value was, and we put our output in the output section. Then we did -1, and we plugged it in for x. And then we took our output and we put it in the output item. Okay? So over and over again, the same thing. Plug in 0. Our answer goes in our output. We plugged in 1. The answer goes in the output. Plugged in 2. And the answer goes in the output. Be careful here with the problems that you're going to do because they will have negatives involved. Make sure you're careful and use your rules for adding and subtracting real numbers. At this point, you're going to stop and you're going to complete section 2.3, 2.4, check point 3.